So you're going to create a page that has at least 5 paragraphs from a story, book, or poem. And so I have a couple examples for you guys. Okay, you need to format the page using Bootstrap. Okay, and you're going to be using a span tag to override 2 of the format settings, such as color, font size, background color, that kind of thing. The text that you want to display and the 2 CSS settings need to be passed to a function. Okay, and then the function is going to display the text in the page and apply the settings. So here is one of my examples. Horton Hears a Who. Okay, and I created this using a full width Jumbotron. So I've given you a link so that you can see that code. And then what I did, because W3 Schools overuses the div tags, they are not using the semantic tags like they should be. So I replaced the div tags with the semantic tags. Okay. The Jumbotron class background color and border were modified in an internal style sheet. So you can kind of see the Jumbotron is up here. I put a border on it, modified the colors. Okay. And so the background colors that you see, the kind of gold and the blue, I got those using BG Warning and BG Info, which are part of Bootstrap. Okay. So your tasks here are going to be to create a new PHP file. Going to save it into a lesson 3 folder, and you're going to call it functions and styles.php. The script that you create should have a function that accepts 3 parameters. First parameter is going to be the text that you want to display. The second and third are going to be CSS that you want to modify. And you'll have to apply that CSS using the span tag. You need some kind of graphic that goes with the excerpt. So I've given you or shown you my Horton example, and I have another one. It's kind of a dark poem, but I like it. Don't know. So I picked a very dark graphic to go with the dark poem, but this is another Bootstrap example. Okay, so you can kind of see I changed the color. And I've got this, I think I set it as like a float left. Okay, so that would be a second example. And I did include the code here for you to download, but I think on campus there's a problem downloading PHP. I think it converts it. So I actually gave you the zipped file. So if we download the zip file, then you can see how I did that. And that is going to help you figure out how to accomplish this. Because you'll be able to open that up. Open with. Okay, so at the top you can see I've just got a little internal style sheet. And I changed BG dark to white. So you can pretty much change any color you want. You can see I brought in Jumbotron, all of that fun stuff. And then you can also see where I stuck my PHP. So here's my function. I'm calling it output. I'm pulling in text, color, font, and padding. So I actually brought in more than 2 things. You guys only need 2 CSS settings. You can see I did an echo, and then I've got my span where I'm setting the color, the padding, the font size, and then I'm adding in my text. Okay, so I did 3 things. You guys only have to do 2 for CSS. I was only going to do 2, but I'm really fussy about the padding. I don't like my text against the edge, so I threw in padding because I couldn't stand it. here is the first paragraph, and then you can see I'm calling output here. And I'm sending it the paragraph, I'm sending it a color, font size, padding. Okay? And it's running through this. Here's my paragraph 2. Here's where I'm calling output. Okay, so I'm sending it, you know, the color, the size, and the padding. Here's my paragraph 3. So you guys can totally see how I did this. Okay, so that was like a huge helpful hint in getting this assignment done. Okay. And that's the first exercise. So exercise 2, you're going to use logical operators and selection structures. And you're going to format it very similar to how you did exercise 1. So I'm not giving you a PHP example for this because the formatting is going to be similar to what you already did. Okay. You are going to want to pull in numbers and then test them using comparison operators. Okay, so is number 1 equal to or not equal to number 2? Is number 1 less than or equal to number 2? Is number 1 greater than or equal to number 2? These are all the things you're going to test. You're going to want to pull in random numbers for this. And then you're going to, let's see, run through the test a couple different times. Okay, so you can see I did 3 times. I'm pulling in random numbers, showing the results of the test. So basically, you're going to have to use some if statements here, right? You're going to pull in 2 numbers, right? You're going to have to check to see if number 1 is equal to or not equal to number 2. Is number 1 not equal to number 2? If that's true, you're going to print out a message. If it's false, you're going to print out a message. Okay? Is number 1 less than or equal to number 2? If that's true, print out a message. If it's false, print out a different message. Okay? So this is practicing logical operators and selection. That's the point of this. Okay, so you're going to pull in the random numbers, do the tests, pull in the random numbers, do the tests, pull in the random numbers, do the tests. So how you set this up is going to be somewhat similar to how you did this one. Okay? It's just the code in the PHP section is going to be a little different. You're going to have 3 different PHP sections. Does that make sense? Okay, so we have 3 exercises. The third one. I thought you might need a little help with this, so I do have an example. Not of a temperature converter. But what you guys are going to need to do is create a temp converter that should display in a table. And your output is going to look similar to this. You're going to use a random number generator to get the beginning number and the increment. And you can also use it to get the number of conversions. Okay, and then you will have the Celsius, and here is the equation to calculate the Fahrenheit. And then you'll display them in a table. You're going to increment the Celsius by whatever the increment number is. So you can see I started here at 19, the increment is 4, so second row, Celsius is 15. Okay, then I calculated the Fahrenheit, printed that out. Okay, and I've got 20 conversions, so I got 20 rows in my table. So there's actually a lot going on in here because this is a bootstrap table. Okay, so it's formatted as a table. I thought you might need a little help with this. So I am showing you the body code, so you can see the headings are kind of hard-coded in here. And then in the body, that's where a lot of the code is going to be. So this is pseudocode, kind of telling you what you need to do. And then I thought, okay, I think you're going to need a little more help than that. So what I did was I quick coded up a number tally. So this is similar, okay? I'm randomly retrieving a number, I've got an increment, and I'm randomly retrieving the number of conversions. And every time I load it, it's going to be different, okay? So this is very similar to what you have to do, okay? So I do have the zip file that you guys can download. And keep in mind, this is a number tally, okay? And you guys, instead of doing the math that's in the tally, you need to do the math here in the temperature calculation. That's the primary difference, is the math that you're going to do, okay? But I thought you probably would need a little help with this, so that is why I'm giving you this little tally. How many of you guys have coded temp converters before? I was going to say, because that's like such a standard thing. Okay. Okay, so here you can see, I've got my bootstrappy code in here. And then I've got the PHP, I've got a counter. This is how I'm getting my random numbers. And then this is my little heading section at the top where it's showing my starting numbers. And then here's my table. Okay, and you can see that I've got the settings for class. These all come from Bootstrap. And you guys feel free to change the colors. You can change the table to look however you want. You certainly don't have to use the danger color. I thought it looks cool, but you guys can use whatever you want. And you can see here for the heading section, I mean, I just hard code this in here, and your heading is going to be Celsius and Fahrenheit, okay? And then here's the PHP section. Yours is going to be similar. Again, the difference that you guys are going to have is that you're calculating Fahrenheit instead of a new number. So it's this line that's going to be different, okay? And you'll be printing out the Celsius and the Fahrenheit values. And you can see that I'm printing out the row, the column, the opening column. Then I'm printing out a number. You guys will print out Celsius. Then you print out the closing column. Then you print out the opening for the next column. You guys are going to print out Fahrenheit. And then you do the closing for that column and the closing for the row. Okay, that makes sense? Okay, so down here you'll notice that I am adding the increment value to the number. You guys have to add the increment value to Celsius. Okay? So I am kind of trying to help you out here. Okay, giving you something that is similar. And that is what you guys are going to be working on. Okay, so those 3 programs. So if you can't remember how to do the random number in exercise 2, take a peek at exercise 3 because I have the code in there with a minimum and a maximum value. Okay? And that is what you guys are going to be working on. Now, if you haven't done the discussion forum for this week, please do that so that people can reply. Okay, because you get points for replying. Okay? And then the full class on Wednesday will be working on this too. Okay?